Welcome to It's a Thing. Today I'm speaking with Leslie Johansson Knack, the author of three books, 14, The Blue Butterfly, and her most recent memoir, 19. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Leslie and then we'll get started. Leslie Johansson Knack is the author of three books, as I just said. Um, the last one, 19, finishes Leslie's angsty and challenging story with sobriety and hope for the future. She graduated from UCLA with a degree in English literature and overcame past traumas to raise two children in a healthy, loving home. She is a member of the Authors Guild, the Historical Novel Society, and the Pacific Northwest Writers Association. She lives outside Seattle with her husband of 35 years.
Thanks for
So,
having me,
Les,
Lindsay. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm so happy to talk to you. So, Leslie, before you moved to Seattle, you lived here in San Diego, and that's when we first met.
Yeah.
And I've just been able to follow. I think I met you after 14 had been published, and and then I kind of followed you through your journey with the Blue Butterfly, which is based on the life of Marion Davies. And I loved that book. So I was really happy to jump into 19 and hear more about your story. And I'm sure you've heard this before, but 19 is definitely fits the description of stranger than fiction. But instead of like stranger than fiction, I would say more raw, brutal, and honest than fiction. Um, and I had read your fiction, so but your memoirs are just I mean, you really go there, and I'm so glad that you do because I just think that your story is so powerful and absolutely astonishing and unbelievable, and the fact that you're here to share from such a healthy space, and I just really admire you and your storytelling ability and your survival ability. Um, so thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
for reading. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
my goal when I became a writer was to find people who could read my books. So that's great. Thank you.
yeah, I am going to get into that. But I did want to, let's see. Um, well, first, let me just say you've gotten a ton of awards for your books. And so I think not only are you, able to tell your story, but you're telling it well enough that people are recognizing you and appreciating your story and sort of it's just spreading. And so you're kind of doing the job that a lot of us as writers and specifically memoir writers. I'm not a memoir writer, but I teach memoir writers, and so I feel like everybody's trying to do what you're doing. So it's you're doing a really good job. And just the honesty, I think, sometimes I think with memoir, and you can tell me what you think about this, but I find sometimes people turn to fiction because they can be more honest, but when they get to, because in their memoir, they're worried about hurting people's feelings or how it's going to land on the people they know and their loved ones. And, how did you grapple with that? And what did you ultimately decide?
I agree with you. There are some people who can't write memoir because it's too painful for them for whatever reason. Maybe it's family members are still very close to them and they need to like just employ certain elements in fiction that sort of, you know, represent their experience. But for me, it was never a choice between, I mean, I have dreams of writing fiction that use elements of my memoir story, but I always knew that I would write it as a memoir because that's the genre today that is sort of the magical genre, in my opinion. It is the genre that's being accepted in the world. Women's voices are being heard. We get to tell our truth, and I am not going to miss that opportunity. I want the world to know what happened because kids are surviving these dysfunctional families, and this traumas have been passed down for generations and nobody's been talking about it. And it's like we need to talk about what's going on with mental health. We need to talk about what's going on with alcoholism and addiction. We need to talk about what's going on with childhood sexual abuse. We need to talk about all the hard subjects. And sometimes maybe it's easier in fiction to talk about it because you don't really know the person and you think, oh, this isn't a real story. Thank goodness this isn't a real story. But then when you read a real story about it, it's earth shaking. And but we need to shake the earth.
Oh my gosh.
Because
I mean, now more than ever, like,
yeah,
with the Epstein just blowing up all
yeah.
over the news and and
And
just
Harvey Weinstein before that, and
yeah, yeah,
like
exactly. It's
oh,
actually like it's not just this very week that
something's
this is
happening.
relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Thank
just
goodness.
I know I'm it's yeah, you've done I feel like you've done the world a great service to show how to tell number one to bear your truth because people there is so much shame associated with the truth when it has
And
this
that
kind of
needs to
trauma.
stop. Right. But that needs
Yeah.
to stop. So the more
Hmm.
people that share and talk and stand up, excuse me, the better. There needs to
Yeah.
be no shame about this. I didn't do this to me. This was done to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the shame should be on the perpetrator.
Do you feel like, I mean, I know we're kind of, like I just said, in the thick of the news cycle, but do you feel like the world is catching on? Like we are getting better? I know that we had the Me Too movement and sort of
Yeah,
everything. And then, so I feel like we take like one step forward and two
yeah,
steps back. And I'm just
yeah.
wondering if you feel like we are
Discouraged.
taking,
No.
are you discouraged or do you feel, I mean, is because I feel like you're having these conversations all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like about shame and about telling your truth and stepping forward and so are we making progress?
So I think there's a lot of us out there talking about this. I think there's
Yeah.
thousands of women authors and men authors who have sustained a lot of abuse too. I think it's frustrating. I think we are women are not in the power source. We are not the power source in the environment that we live in, but we are gaining in strength. And the more we talk, the better. Even though there's backlash, even though there's two steps back, like you said, something's happening. Something's bubbling down at the base because women don't want to live the way we've been living. And
Mm-hmm.
our parents and our moms and our grandmothers and all of that, how they have had to endure all those years and they didn't really realize there was another way. Now we're starting to see there's another way
Yeah.
where maybe women could be equal. Maybe women could be valued for more than
Right.
just a homemaker. It's like, there's so much happening. It's all bubbling, and I think it's good and it's also hard. And I think the power structure doesn't like it. And so there's backlash.
Yeah. I feel like well, do you know
Well, I'm
Have
sorry.
you read E. Jean Carroll?
No, I haven't read her memoir.
Oh
I
my
would like to
gosh.
read her memoir.
I
Yeah.
feel like you need to know her because
Yeah.
you both have, I mean, she is obviously she was raped by Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And but her story, she's able to tell it in a way that is hilarious. I mean, it's okay, it's both hilarious in her how she has sort of how she positions it and heartbreaking. I laughed and cried. It's just a I just am saying that it's hilarious because there is some lightness to it. But anyway, I feel like you should reach out to her. But that's let's talk about let's get back to 19.
Well, I just wanted to say one
Okay.
other thing.
So what
I
was
just
yeah,
Oh, I just wanted to say that I think that in 100 years, things are going to be a lot
yes.
better. I don't think we're going to see
Yeah,
it maybe in our lifetime, but every element that we put into this movement is going to make a difference in the long run. So we might not see it
yeah.
ourselves. So that's what I just wanted to say. That my little piece, my little
Well,
books are just a piece.
that's thing to shoot for. Hopefully earlier than that we'll see a difference. And I think I brought up E. Jean Carroll because it's like there's also the voting piece. Like there's the writing your story, there's the removal of shame, there's the acceptance and love that we can, provide to each other and support that we can provide to each other. And then, on a larger scale, there's the voting. And just, bringing people to power who have a respect for everyone, have a
Yeah,
respect for all humans,
right.
and at no time have shown disdain or disregard
Right.
um, for
That's the dream.
women or for anyone. Yeah, so that's what we're shooting for.
Yeah.
Um, okay, I have to get to something that your book starts with, or I feel like it's pretty early on, which is the affair with your psychologist.
Yeah.
I mean, and so you were going to a family psychologist with your mom and your sisters, and then he starts to hit on you, and you're so young. How old were you?
15. 15.
15. I mean,
I'm not
this
young
is,
according to what's her name.
I mean, you just gave me the barfs.
I know.
Just, that's
I know, I
just
know.
unbelievable, Megan
Megan
Kelly.
Kelly. Megan Kelly.
Oh, um,
Unbelievable.
so, but like you're telling this story, you are so young, you have no idea that this is, I mean, it's like, how would a 15-year-old not feel sort of flattered, right?
Right, right, right.
Like that's the difference is you just
Because
don't have enough worldview to be, unless you're like some sage, like you were born, you're an old soul that comes in and is like, wait, this feels wrong. It's like, how would you know? I mean, you're 15 and you're like this authority figure is like hitting on you. It's just unbelievable. And so you tell this whole story, and then your family is aware of this, eventually aware of it, and that part really blew me away too.
yeah.
In the conversation, so like tell us a little bit about that part because that was just mind blowing.
You mean to when my dad found out
Well, okay, so
or
your
when my
mom,
mom?
yeah, tell us
So
about
it
your
was a
mom and then.
competition. I was just really angst and I hated it in Windsor and we had just been in Tahiti sailing and I had been living not I wasn't that happy in Tahiti either, but later when you look back, I was living in Windsor and I was really idealizing Tahiti and thinking, "Oh my God, we're living at the bottom here. It's like freezing cold. I hate it here." And my mom is drinking every day and my sisters are mad at me because dad has picked me as his favorite and we just got back from this big long trip and now I've swooped in at the last minute and anyway there's just a lot of angst in my family
Yeah,
and my mom we're fighting all the time and so she says we need family therapy and so she finds this guy through the Catholic Church. I'm not exactly sure where but it was an office behind a Catholic church. It was a community service center or whatever and we get this therapist and the therapist is he's interesting and I am just convinced I'm not going to participate in this therapy. I will not. I will sit there because she told me I have to sit there, but I am not going to be sincere in any way. And then I noticed he starts looking at me and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And this is way more interesting than what my mom and my sisters are fighting about. And so, that sort of starts it. And then my mom starts to sort of, flirt with him. Wearing these low-cut shirts and and this kind of thing. And it was like, all right, lady, let's see who he's gonna pick. a game on. I mean, that's how awful I was in some ways. And when
Awful
I,
or naive and young. I mean,
yeah,
how,
of course,
like,
of
what were you
course.
drawing from? You had, I mean, I just,
And my father had already been abusing me in the years earlier. So it wasn't,
yeah,
I didn't know anything about men, but the whole onus was on Simon to stop this, to be the adult. But that's the problem in our society is that the
yeah,
men can't resist. They can't resist these young, beautiful things. Not, I'm not saying I was young and beautiful, but I'm just saying it's everywhere in our society, and we're not
yeah,
ever talking about that. We're talking
right,
about what my part was. And my
right. Because
part was
we
I
feel
was a
the shame.
child. I
Yeah,
was a child and I was mad and I was being really bratty. And I was like, come
I'll
on,
show
let's
you.
see. I can take this on. I felt invincible. And he should have put a stop to it. He
Yeah,
should have been the adult. But over and over again, the men are not the adults.
yeah,
They take what they want and then they don't think about the results. They don't think
mm-hmm.
about the implications. They just want to be satisfied in the moment. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's what we need to be talking about is the men who can't control themselves because and I thought about this the other day. Isn't this what happens with the Taliban and all the stuff that's happening in the Muslim world? They cover up the women because the men can't control themselves. They don't
Mm-hmm.
want to see their beautiful hair, their beautiful faces, their the body that God gave them. God gave them the body. Or if we're going to talk about God here, it's like, but let's cover it up because we don't want anyone to see it because I can't control myself. And that's basically what it is. And it's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing here, except for it's more, westernized. Um,
Right. And I feel like, shame keeps us from talking about it. But,
my shame. It should be his shame
right.
for
It's like,
indulging in such an impulse.
right. And
Why is it not his
it should be
shame?
just an open conversation. How did
Yeah,
this happen? Who got hurt? And how do we fix it? Like, how do we heal?
yeah,
That's what it feels like to me. Because I guess my question is like, how, like, and actually this might leads to my next question for you. Because I just wonder um, pretty much about everything. Like, how do I make this better? How do I take it from where it is, where it's broken, and just get it to a place where it can stand, like where it's where it can, like, the conversation can move forward and we can just be like advance as a civilization, as a person. And so I'm curious, do you feel like your writing, your incredible writing, do you feel like it has helped you heal? Or were you, I mean, I know you were already on the path because you kind of get there in your book when you find sobriety, which, I mean, your story through addiction is also just perilous and terrifying. And I just can't even believe that you're here to tell us about it. But do you feel like, you were able to kind of connect and find sobriety and heal, but has the writing of your books, has that helped continued to help you heal and process, or how was that?
yeah. I mean, it's layers. It's layers.
Mhm.
I mean, when it happened and, you know, 39 years ago when it happened, of course I couldn't write. I couldn't write about it. It took years of living life, gaining some experience in the adult world to see how things really operate because as a kid you think you know, but you don't know. You think you know and you think you can handle it. But that's why we need adults to protect the children because they don't know and they don't make good decisions. And so like with all these victims of, Jeffrey Epstein, it's like,
Mhm.
where were all their parents? What was anyway.
No, I
Um,
hear you.
so the healing happens in layers. It happens over
Hmm.
time and it's not something like I feel like I had to really go outside my comfort zone and reach out for tools in the society. And thank goodness I come from a place where I can afford them, which is
Hmm.
wrong. It should be available to everyone.
Yeah.
Therapy, music therapy, incest survivor therapy, anger management therapy, you know, Alcoholics Anonymous is free and there's so much healing there, but
Mhm.
for me, it only took me to a certain level. I needed more past that. I needed more past the steps. I needed the community that I got there because that supported my sobriety, and I couldn't have done nothing about any of this without my sobriety.
Yeah.
Because cocaine was my slave and master. I was a slave to it, and so it happened over time, and I don't think I could have written these books until I was in my 50s. And that's when I
Hmm.
started. When I was 52 was when Judy Reeves sent me an email, invited me into that read and critique group, and I thought, the sign from the universe has come. I'm going to write my book because everyone in this group was writing a book, and she said, I'd like to invite you. There's 8 of us. And I was like, family meeting, I am doing this, you guys. They were in high school. Make your own lunches, make your own dinners. I will be driving to San Diego every single week to attend this meeting, and barring serious sickness, I will not be missing a meeting. And so this is my priority. And as a mom, you guys, I want your support. And they were so great. My family was so great. So that's how I wrote 14. And
Oh my.
I didn't even know how I would write it because I hadn't written a book before, and I just was naive enough to just jump in. That's me. I just like to jump into the deep end, all the way in. And Judy was guiding the ship, as they say, and she said, "Show me what happened. Don't tell me. Write me some scenes about what happened in your childhood." And I was like, "Okay, I can do that." And so I started writing and eventually learned different skills of, you know, narrative storytelling, how much to show, how much to tell, all of the different things and editing and all of that. And so I feel like that I couldn't have written that and written my father from a place where he's an admirable person, but he's also a horrible person. So he has two sides, and I both loved and hated him because he was amazing in the way he thought outside the box and showed us incredible experiences that we would have never had we lived in a house on a street, which is what I dreamed of because life was so unpredictable for me. And I didn't know where we were going to be or what we were going to be doing next. Everything was changing all the time. But he's a multifaceted person. He's not just the bad. And I
Yeah.
really wanted to show all of it. I wanted to show him he was generous and kind with people. He was giving. We didn't have Christmas. We used to give all our Christmas money to the needy and the homeless. We used to, there were so many good things of learning about the cultures that we went to, about how these people were raised on these islands and what they believed in and what their ancestors, all of that is incredible. And then you pair that with his abuse and his degrading and his giving, showing me I can do something and then taking it all back and taking all my power and cutting me down and completely shaming and humiliating me to where I was like not even trusting who I was, or I mean, it was both things. So,
Yeah.
and my mom was the same to a
Yeah.
lesser extent. She had mental illness, and it didn't really show itself until after she had 3 babies. So,
Yeah.
and that's what happens sometimes. Mid
Yep.
20s is when mental illness starts to show. And so my heart goes out to her for that. She had 3 of us within 4 years. I mean, we were all so close together, and my heart goes out to her. But she 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 took the easier, softer way more often than not as a mother and didn't stand up for us and she couldn't. I had a lot of judgment and criticism of her and her lack of strength as a woman.
Hmm.
And maybe that's I mean, maybe I should be more forgiving. And I have been more forgiving over the years, but I just feel like, Mom, you knew he was abusing me. You could have stood up to him. You could have said, but she couldn't do it. She didn't have the inner strength. And that.
You have been very forgiving. I feel what
Yeah, I mean,
like
yeah,
you've been forgiving of both and you've suffered under both of
yeah,
your parents. And the fact that you're still able to be honest and reflect, I feel like you have a pretty healthy perspective of it. Like you've forgiven them, you see the good in them, and then you're still frustrated and mad about the parts where they
yeah,
really, I mean, they really let you down. It wasn't like, oh, he didn't show up for my, soccer game. I mean, like
yeah,
you have this book is your life has been very extreme.
yeah.
And so, but the fact that you're even able to articulate how you see his duality and that he is both good and bad is just like, I don't know. I think that's something we all should take away because there is good and bad in everyone. But it's can be hard to see that there are both and not just, oh, only one, only good, only good, only good, or like only bad. And I could, you would be forgiven for feeling or understood. I think we would empathize with you if you had decided that he was only bad. Um, but I think you do describe some of the strengths that he had and how we were all kind of enamored with him in that way, like, wow, look at all these adventures that he takes you on. And it's just like you learn so much from him, like you just described. And plus you're sailing these massive boats and he's put the like all of that on you. So like I just wonder, because like I was wondering where you get your strength and resilience from. And I was thinking that perhaps you were born that way, but also perhaps you were nurtured that way because there were so many times that you just had no choice. I mean, you fell down and then you got back up and you fell down and you got back up, but earlier on, you didn't have a choice. I mean, do you feel like that's where you got it?
I think I was
Yeah.
born with this much, I don't know what it is. Yeah, some drive,
Gumption.
yeah, gumption.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think my dad was the same way. I think I take after him. I have a lot of the qualities that he had, but I have like the feminine version of whatever he had. I can see the pain and the suffering, and I would never,
Yeah.
maybe as a man, because, for whatever reason, the way we are designed with our emotions and with the testosterone and the estrogen or whatever plays in, the feminine, the masculine, the power, all that. I think that I was born with the same kind of resolve and adventure and outgoingness that he has.
Hmm.
But oh, what was I just gonna say? I was gonna say something and I just spaced.
You
You
were
were saying,
saying your strength and resilience, you were born
yeah,
with it, but then there was also maybe a nurture element because I don't know, I just see like when did you even have an opportunity to be like, oh no, I couldn't possibly do that today. Like it was foisted upon you and it was like
there
sink or
was no
swim.
saying no. There
But when
was
I
no
say
saying
sink or swim, like literally sink or swim because you were in the middle of the ocean during a storm and you're like manning this giant vessel.
thinking you're gonna die at
Yeah.
14.
Yeah.
Well, something good does something to your brain and your body when you think, okay, well, it's been good. It's been a good life and it may end here because this is really, really bad.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm
Taking
happy
on
I was
water,
here.
like trying to get rid of the water. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
just on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But I think I still can't remember what I was going to say, and I'm sorry.
No, no,
It's
it's okay because
slipping.
I will keep asking you questions and you can circle back if it comes back. But okay, my other question was, and I don't think I'm ruining the book because it's on the back of the book, but your dad dies when you're 19.
Yeah.
Um, and but your story doesn't end there. So he
No.
dies. Okay, just and you went through this at your book launch too. But also in your book you talk about it. So he dies in he's flying a plane in he's around Puerto Vallarta and he it crashes in a jungle, right? And he dies, and his fiance lives and is still alive. And that part is just unbelievable. And you wouldn't believe it if it weren't true. But also, but my question is actually about the choice that you made to use that as a, so like as a marker of how you moved forward in your life after he died. And I just kind of wanted you to talk about that because you do say like during your addiction journey, um after he dies, that you're like, it's been 1 year since my dad died. It's been 2 years since my dad died. It's been 3 years, because it's like you're always looking back. And I'm just wondering if you could talk to us about that choice. I loved it.
Because I was only in opposition to him. M-
Mm,
Because of how close we were, the fact that I was the favorite, he always gave me the upper opportunities,
mhm,
whatever. I felt special and in all the bad ways and all the good ways.
mm,
But my life was always in relation to him. And it was always about where he was, what he was doing, and what I could, as I became a teenager and became more stubborn and fought back, it was always in opposition to him. Whatever he didn't want, that's what I wanted to do. And it was basic psychology, I guess, when I look back on it now. But at the time, it was serious business because I didn't want anything to do with him. I had cut him out of my life. I just wanted nothing to do with him when I left home, when I snuck out in the middle of the night and ran away, basically, and never went back and agreed and thought to
mm,
myself, I've been through a lot and I would rather die in a ditch than go back there and live under his roof. And so, you know, I just feel like when he died, I was completely, even though I had been hoping and wishing for his death for years, like I wish he would just die. A lot of teenagers say that. I hope you die, kind of thing, because it's the worst thing we can think of, right? But I kind of
mhm,
felt like I really meant it in my gut, and it was like,
mhm.
um, I think you've done enough damage in the world. You need to go now. It's
Yeah,
like, please be
yeah,
gone. But then I don't know who I was. I was
yeah.
completely lost. Everything was in relation to him and fighting back against him. And so it was like he died. And once I accepted it, it was like hitting a brick wall. It was like hitting a brick wall because who am I now if I'm not in opposition to him? If
Mm,
I'm not going to prove myself to him, because even though we weren't talking, I was still powered by the thought that I was proving him wrong, that I was making a success of myself because he said, You'll never work for anyone. You're never smart enough. You're so stupid. Nothing's ever going to come of you. You're going to need me forever. You're going to need, to hang around, all the negative stuff he planted in my brain. And I was fighting against all of that, thinking, I am going to make something of myself. I am going to work and I'm going to show you. And then he was gone. And I thought, well, now what am I going to do? I was
mm,
really lost. And that's when I think my addiction just got out of control. And I just was in so much pain and disbelief. And thank God for cocaine in lots of ways because cocaine really speeded up my demise and my descent into, all of the pain and heartache. And, you know, finding cocaine put me in the fast lane. And so I think when I got sober at 25, I was really done. I was
mhm,
done with living that way. Even though my dad told me I was stupid and I would never amount to anything, he also made me feel like I could conquer anything because of what all of the experiences we had lived through and all of the things that he had taught me to do. And never really saying I'm proud of you, but showing me that he was proud, like smiling at me or you know, doing things that were like rare gems in my life. I knew I was doing a good job. I could
mm.
tell I was doing well and learning the whatever lesson, the navigation with a sextant, steering a boat, recovering an undercover, you know, uh, going
That story's
undercover and
amazing.
and going to St. Martin and stealing this boat back and being aboard and doing that. It's like I had done so much. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this. And so when I got sober, it finally was like I had this spiritual experience in the hospital that changed my life, and I've hung on to uh, that experience, and it really informs me still today.
Hmm.
And 39 years later, I'm coming up on 40 years of sobriety, which is just like, oh my gosh,
Wow.
40 years of it doesn't seem possible because I still feel pretty young. I still feel young.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's you feel young to me as well. I'm yes, I agree. I agree. We you are young, I am young. We are young.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
I'm
no,
going
I think
on.
so. I mean, I think it's all in your mind.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
so well, I
yeah.
just
So yeah, I
yeah,
was in opposition to him as
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that I feel like you captured that with your choice to make it a marker in how you moved forward. And because you did have like so much um sort of anger toward him that moving forward, like there was just so much for you to grapple with.
Yeah.
And
It was a lot.
yeah, it's a lot just even reading it. It's like, oh my gosh, but in a good way. Like
Yeah.
we're seeing how you stepped forward and how messy that was. And it's really true to life because, you know, I think we get caught into feeling like our story has to be so pretty. And it's like,
Yeah.
but really though, is that honest? Doesn't really think it doesn't feel honest at all.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm just really glad that you told it the way you did. Um,
Well,
and
it's
I
written like a
commend you.
novel, right? It's written like a
Yes.
novel. It's not really written like a lot of the other memoirs of today, and I get that. But this is my storytelling style, and I think that I'm going to move on to novels now that I've
Are
accomplished that
you?
too. Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to ask
Yeah.
that because I was thinking, okay, I don't want to tell the story about how you steal the boat, but because I want people to read your book because it's amazing. It feels like an episode of
Charlie's Angels.
yeah, oh my gosh, it's such an episode. Yeah, like what you are, it's anyway, I don't want to do it. It's worth a read. So, okay, so now tell me what you're writing next.
Well, I don't know what I'm writing next.
You're not
I
working on
just have a
anything?
feeling that novels are in my future because this is
Yeah,
my storytelling style. And like Judy Reeves tells me all the time, your storytelling style is informing what you write and everything. So I'm not, I wished I would have gotten my MFA
yeah,
in some ways because I really wish I would have had the credential, but I don't think it would have made a difference in my publishing or in the way I published or in the way I tell my story. It just
yeah.
gives you more credentials, but um, I don't know. My daughter wants to write a book with me,
Oh,
and she's 29, and she's like, "Let's write a mother-daughter adventure." And I was like, "Okay." Because I don't have a publishing company telling me what I'm supposed to be doing. And they are not really interested in older writers anyway, which I think is a real miss on their part
yeah,
because there's so much wisdom. But again, we don't value women's wisdom
I
in this
know.
world. It's just really too bad. It's like you have to be young and with an MFA to get a book deal. But it's the women who have been through life and have gone through it all who have
Hmm.
the amazing stories to tell, and those are being dismissed by traditional publishing, and it's really sad. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'm going to do what I want, what makes me happy. I hope we have, um, the resources to continue on the path that I'm continuing on because I've always wanted to be a real writer. And I
I
wish I could
think
have.
it's official. You're a real writer now. You have 3 books and like a million awards and a million reviews, and yeah, I think you've crossed over.
I hope so. I hope so. I want to. I want to be worthy. It's like that is the button that my dad installed in me. If any,
Yeah,
we all get buttons installed when we're growing up, and the one that got installed in me was, am I good enough? Am I ever going to be good enough? And it applies to everything in my life. A good enough mom, a good enough wife, a good enough writer, kind of thing. I'm always striving to do better. And
yeah.
so, I don't know. I'm not, so anyway, I might write a book with my daughter. And
Oh,
but
that's
she has
great.
a new career that's very demanding. So if that doesn't work out right away, I'm sure I'll be inspired by something
Something
else.
will. Right.
It'll be a novel though. I don't think I have any more memoir in me. I'm done serving up
Your truth.
my truth. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your truth and I appreciate you for telling it. And I do think that, coming forward to share, I don't know, you're so powerful in telling us exactly what you came from and where you went with it and really sort of not glossing over any of it. And I think your emotional journey feels very real and very it's just it's very helpful to see that it's possible. And like the fact that you came from such a dysfunctional situation and that you sort of become this, it didn't have to skip a generation for you to realize what you wanted, what kind of parent you wanted to be and how you wanted to present in the world. It's like you grappled with it and you got a hold of it and then you stepped forward and did it well. And so I just really commend you and thank
Thank
you
you
for
very
talking to
much.
me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much
Yeah.
for coming.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I
Yeah.
appreciate the talk. It's been really meaningful.
Yeah. Same here. Let's connect again soon.
Yes, let's do it. Thank you.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
Lindsay.
Bye.
Bye.